First outside hitter for
Every highlight ends with a hit, but matches are won 2 touches earlier. The player who controls tempo, pressure, and options isn't the star scorer, it's the setter. And once you understand how they do it, the entire game changes. Setter equals the playmaker. Picture the rally before the crowd even reacts. The serve comes in hot, the pass drifts off the net, not perfect, not broken, and in less than half a second, one player has to solve everything at once. Where's the block shifting? Which hitter is early? Who's late? Is the middle still holding, or did they cheat to the pin? That's the moment where the rally is either rescued or wasted. The setter doesn't just decide where the ball goes, they decide what kind of rally this is about to be. The fast one to the middle that freezes the block, a shoot to the outside that stretches the antenna, a high ball to reset when chaos needs control. Each choice reshapes spacing, timing, and pressure before a hitter even starts their approach. This is why calling setters passes misses the point. They're not reacting, they're directing. On the second touch, they're manipulating tempo, forcing blockers to hesitate, and turning imperfect passes into attackable situations. The hitter finishes the play, but the setter decides whether that hitter swings against a formed double block or a single blocker scrambling late. Every elite offense runs through this one constant. The setter is touching the ball on almost every rally. That repetition isn't accidental, it's control. Over time, that control compounds. The setter learns the opponent's blocking tendencies, senses when the middle is guessing, feels when the defense is leaning, and slowly, almost invisibly, the match starts bending in their direction. That's not distribution, that's authorship. The science of decision making. At the elite level, volleyball stops being about raw power and starts becoming something closer to choreography. Every attack is timed, every step is measured, and the margin between a clean kill and a dug ball is often decided before the hitter leaves the floor. This is where the numbers quietly tell the real story. Performance analysts studying elite men's volleyball have found that attack efficacy, the percentage of swings that actually score, is the single strongest predictor of winning matches. And that efficiency doesn't come from arm strength alone. It rises and falls with one action more than any other: the quality of the set. A high quality set isn't about height or speed in isolation. It's about delivering the ball into the hitter's optimal hitting window, the exact point in space and time where their approach, jump, and arm swing sync perfectly. Miss that window by a fraction of a second, and even world-class attackers are forced to tip, roll, or hit into a waiting block. Elite setters are specialists in protecting that window. They read the pass instantly, not just how far off the net it is, but how stable it will be at release. At the same time, they're scanning the defense, which blocker is late, which middle is committing early, which defender is creeping forward. In that split second, the setter isn't choosing a hitter, they're choosing probability. That's why great setters make broken plays look routine. Even when the reception is off the net, they adjust trajectory, tempo, and spin just enough to keep the attack alive. The result isn't always spectacular, but it's efficient. And over the course of a match, efficiency wins far more points than flash. The data backs this up. In top-level competition, elite setters regularly average over 10 assists per set, with assist success rates climbing above 85%. Teams that consistently hit those numbers don't just score more, they score cleaner, forcing defenses into reactive positions and wearing them down over time. What looks like creativity is actually control. What looks like instinct is trained decision-making under pressure. And when you stack hundreds of those decisions across a match, the setter doesn't just support the offense, they mathematically tilt the game in their team's favor. That's the science behind why setters don't need the spotlight to run the match. The scoreboard already reflects their work. Why this makes setters more critical than hitters. Star hitters put points on the board, there's no denying that. They're the ones who finish rallies, take the biggest swings, and absorb the pressure when the set goes to the pin in crunch time. But here's the part that rarely gets talked about. Hitters can only act on the options they're given. A hitter doesn't choose the height of the ball, they don't choose the tempo, they don't choose whether they're facing a well-formed double block or a late scrambling one. They react. Everything about a hitter's success, their timing, their jump, their shot selection, depends on whether the set arrives in an attackable window. Give even the best outside a ball that's half a meter too tight, half a beat late, or drifting inside, and suddenly that sure point turns into a roll shot or a free ball. So when you see a stat line that reads 25 kills, the real question isn't just how well the hitter swung, it's how often the setter puts them in advantage. How many of those kills came with the block frozen because the setter held the middle? How many were against a single blocker because the tempo beat the read? How many happened because the set forced defenders to move after the hitter had already jumped? This is where elite setters separate themselves. They don't just distribute the ball evenly, they manufacture favorable situations. They sense when a middle blocker is late closing, when an outside blocker is leaning, when the defense is overcommitting to a hot hitter. And instead of feeding power, they feed probability. That's why great setters make average hitters look dangerous. They give them clean windows, repeatable tempos, and manageable blocks. And that's why elite hitters become almost unfair when paired with elite setters. Not because they hit hard, but because they're swinging in rhythm against compromised defenses over and over again. Hitters end rallies, setters decide how many rallies are even winnable. And over the course of a match, that difference adds up faster than any highlight reel ever could. The hidden leadership role. If you mute the broadcast and just watch the court, one voice keeps cutting through the noise. It's the setter. They're calling blocking matchups before the serve, adjusting serve-receive pacing on the fly, pointing, signaling, recalibrating after every rally. While everyone else is recovering from the last play, the setter is already organizing the next one. This is the part of the job that never shows up on a stat sheet. Elite setters are the emotional regulators of their teams. When a passer shanks a ball or a hitter gets stuffed twice in a row, the setter is the one who steadies the group, slowing the tempo, choosing safer options, rebuilding rhythm one clean contact at a time. And when momentum swings the other way, they do the opposite, speeding things up, pushing the middle, forcing the opponent to play in discomfort. That control extends beyond tactics, it's psychological. Hitters swing freer when they trust the ball will be there. Middles stay engaged when they know they haven't been forgotten. Even defenders move with more certainty when the offense feels organized. The setter creates that trust, rally after rally. Star hitters explode in moments, a run of serves, a streak of kills, a highlight that lifts the crowd. But setters operate on a different timeline. Their impact is cumulative, subtle, relentless. Every rally they touch reinforces structure, confidence, and direction. By the time a match reaches its tightest moments, that quiet leadership has already done its work. The team feels steady, the offense feels familiar, and the setter is still at the center of it all, not demanding attention, just keeping everything alive. That's not just playmaking, that's command. Emotional build. Why this matters. So what does that mean for fans, players, and future stars? It means that the quiet executor, the one with vision, timing, and decision control, often dictates the story of the match far more than the one who nails the highlight reel kill. The star hitter gets the applause, but the setter controls the stage. Conclusion and reflection. Next time you watch an elite match, don't just track the kills, watch the subtle choices, the setter's repositioning, the tempo shift, the deceptive look-off that resets the block. That's where control is born. Because in volleyball, points don't just get scored, they're crafted.